There's a blank page in front of me, it's waiting for a song. But my words have been buried far too long. There's so much inside me that you've never heard. But I feel afraid to put those thoughts in words. On the surface, it seems our lives are all just the same. But how is it that you smile while I feel pain? Did I give to you or did you take away what was mine? How could you move on, leave me standing still in time? Mama said you'd better keep quiet if you don't have anything good to say. But Mama, I wish I could tell you how she broke my heart and I had to push her away. Wish I had known that she would be good. I wish I'd read the signs. She walked on ahead. I'm alone in my bed with tears in my eyes. That was from a song I had written years ago. The name of the song is Blank Page. The reason why I play today being the 14th of November 2024, is because The Blank Page was a song that was on my very first album, and that was released exactly 10 years ago today, 14th November 2014. And a lot has gone on since then. And I think that I just wanted to talk about some of it, a lot of it perhaps. It was very different circumstances for me that led me to even being in the to even be in the position that I wrote and released that album. If I were to take you back on a little bit of a retrospective, basically, on what my journey has been like, I come from a town where being a professional musician is not really an option and it's not really done. There's one very famous singer from our town. Her name is Shilpa Rao. She, in fact, was a senior of mine from school, and I've had the good fortune of being in her band from 2011 to 14. And the story kind of starts there, is that by 2014, for certain reasons, which I won't be getting into, I just wasn't feeling very comfortable. I wasn't feeling very appreciated in the way that I wanted to be appreciated, let's say. And I thought that maybe it was time for a change. So I decided that I was not going to play with Shilpa Rao anymore. That's just her live gigs, by the way, at that time. And she had good hits. Even then, she has a lot better songs now, and I'm happy for her. She's become an even bigger star, and she rightfully deserves her talent, deserves her to be that star. But perhaps it was time for me to try something different, and this was something I think July of 2014, late July, early August 2014, and I decided that I would not be continuing with her band anymore. She's a Bollywood star, by the way. She was then, and she is now. So it's Bollywood music. It's her songs and maybe a couple of covers. That's what it was at that time. Which again, when I started off, or when I thought about being a professional musician, that was not what I had in mind. That I was going to play Bollywood music, etc. But it just works out that way sometimes. And when I quit her band, I was releasing some independent songs on platforms as Reverb Nation, etc. And I was doing well enough, for whatever that's worth, well enough that I was on Reverb Nation, I was India's number one singer songwriter. Again, for whatever that's worth. And I know it's not worth a whole lot because I couldn't make money out of it, and that wasn't enough to pay my bills or anything of that sort. But it was like, maybe it was some indication that some effort was being put in somewhere. Pretty much it. Maybe. And I had one song, I think, which I had written just maybe a couple of months before I quit her band. And that was Blank Page, actually. That was the first song I had written for the album. And I had the feeling that I should be writing an album of songs, and I had the feeling that, like the Beatles, it should have more than 10 songs. And it just so happened that from August of 2014 to November of 2014, I wound up writing, I think it was around 14 or 15 songs, out of which I made an album out of 12 of them. And it was, like I heard the great Bollywood lyricist say just the other day that creativity is most prevalent when you have a void to fill, when you have to create something to fill a void. And I definitely felt that void. There was a massive void because I left this job, which there was some job, as in job in music business, but still a job nonetheless. And there was some security attached with the job, some prospects, and I basically quit that to uh, just go all the way back down to zero. And it was zero that I went back down to. There was a lot of question marks and a lot of doubts from my family, which they were nice enough not to express very openly. But of course, I mean, they don't know much about any of this. Again, like I said, where I come from Jamshedpur. This is really not done, or not done in the way that I wanted to do it. And to be fair, I think it's still not done, or it hasn't been done. Shilpa is a total anomaly. Shilpa's life path is totally different to mine, or to most other people's actually. And I still think that I might be one of the very, very, very few who's been able to do this. Whatever this being a professional musician, making good money, etc., etc. So my parents didn't know what all this was about. So obviously they had their doubts when I left something which was working, and to basically try for my own self, and see what was going to happen. So like I said, like creativity works best when there's a void to fill. There was a tremendous void. Is basically what I'm trying to get at. Personal life was in total shambles as well. Just the worst. So it wasn't working. There was no way, no means to make money. There was nothing in terms of a personal life. And sure enough, the songs came quickly. Quickly. I mean, to write that many songs, for me, I'm saying that's just because I haven't written that many songs since. It's been 10 years. I might have written that many songs in 10 years or whatever, but like that was such an amazingly creative time. Of course, the lyrics are all very, very dark. By the way, this is not a request to go and listen to the album. I was very raw, very inexperienced. I made my living as a guitar player. This is the singer-songwriter album. I wasn't at all a developed singer. It was just all pure, you can say some sort of pure frustration that was finding its way out. And I wrote a lot of songs. I remember one song in particular. I was asleep. For some reason, I was thinking of the song in my head while I was dreaming. Chord progression, everything. And I just got up. I saw the time, it was around 3:20. I had an acoustic guitar right next to me on the bed. Started playing whatever that chord progression was in my head. Normally the dreams don't even stay, but this one even stayed. You talk about the creativity just being right at that time. And I played it and I wrote it. And I wrote lyrics right then and there. And 3:20 I woke up. I swear to God, 3:32 I was done. Guitar was put down. It was done in 12 minutes. I went back to sleep. Three verses, choruses, everything. It was a wonderfully creative time. And foolishly, I hadn't done any recording or anything of the sort. And extremely, I had like said, I mean, recording for the album, I mean. And then suddenly I thought that I'd release it on 14th November, but I thought that on the 10th of November. This is not how things are done. Clearly, right? You hear this, you think it's absurd. People take months planning and release and promotional and PR campaign and thoughts, and none of that was important to me. All I wanted to do was I wanted to release these songs that I've done this, I've written these things. I've composed these things, I've sang these things. And I hadn't even begun recording. I had the idea that I'm going to release it on 14th November. I hadn't recorded anything on 10th of November. Record the entire thing on 11th and 12th in 2 days at home. Acoustic guitar and vocals only. Best I could do at the time. I listen back to it now, it's laughable. But it was the best I could do at that time. And there's a music service, streaming service, and platform for music platform for downloads and streaming too, I guess, called OK Listen. They were brand new at the time. And whatever I had made, mixed, mastered, everything, whatever that was, uploaded, I sent it to that platform, and it was so brand new that I think I was talking to the person who was running the platform, Ravi something. Ravi Basroor, I guess. I could be wrong. But Ravi was like, when do you want to release this? And I think it was the 12th or 13th even. And I was like, I want to release it on the 14th. He's like, how are we going to do that? I'm like, hey man, please do something if you can. And he did. Kick ass on his part. He made it happen for me. I was so happy. There was artwork and everything. Everything was just done. Quickly. It was all done. And sent. And uploaded. That part gave me hope. It was from the despair came that hope, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that I quickly just did it. I didn't wait around too long. Maybe this or that, waiting for this, waiting for some sort of perfection, which I've done ever since, and that hasn't worked out well at all. At all. You can't be waiting around for perfection or for some divine inspiration. Any of these things, in my experience, it hasn't worked out that way. But the reason why this tenure thing feels very heavy for me is simply because I have not been able to get back to any of that. I tried my best with this album. The album got some indie recognition, it really did. It was the top seller on OK Listen. I got support from people around me, and even from people who heard the album. They thought it was good and they bought it. And it was the top seller. I was featured on MTV Indies. There were a couple of articles written with people who now are big names, etc., etc., in terms of up and coming songwriters of the country. Unfortunately, none of that paid the bills, man. Like, not even close. So I had to devise something else. And slowly, from that album, I got maybe like a call to come perform. I was still based out of Jamshedpur at that time. To call to come and perform in Calcutta or to perform in Pune, and I took all those calls. I went everywhere. I went to Calcutta, I went to Chennai, I went to Pune. Got some money in the process, just some, nothing too severe. And then I moved to Calcutta because it's a bigger city with more opportunities. And in the meantime, I went to a place called Cafe Regal in Jamshedpur, which is run by a friend of mine. And I did my album and other songs, and I used to play shows over there with one guitar. And I did my best. He was also his cafe was absolutely new. So was I. We were just making things work. Some days there was money that could be spared to pay me for what I was doing. Most days there wasn't. So I was getting paid in sandwiches. They made a killer sandwich. I recommend Cafe Regal to anyone who goes to Jamshedpur. And they are still around, which is again, it's a miracle in this cutthroat restaurant business. They are still around, and I'm happy for my friend. I had many creative plans as well for the album. For example, it's been 10 years, there's no videos or nothing of the album as such. There's really nothing. There might be like audios and stuff, but there's no videos and stuff. But I had plans for that. I had plans for I would talk about why I wrote each song because they were so burnt into me at the time. It was so fresh. All the reasons why I had written these songs. It was so fresh for me. And yeah, I couldn't get around to doing any of it. When I moved to Calcutta, those thoughts are still there now. Like the singing Blank Page right now, I think might be the first time in 10 years that I've actually sang a song of the album for my YouTube, etc. Like it's that bad. My fault. And once I came to Calcutta, I tried my best with the album to try and make a living as a singer songwriter. It was barely a living. It was there were shows and all, but it was like the ceiling was very low. And I hit that ceiling pretty quickly. Nobody denied that the songs were good. Nobody denied that I had the expertise, but there just wasn't the market for that sort of thing. It really wasn't available at that time. or most probably still isn't. Like, you really have to have a lot of things going for you. In terms of luck, etc. Also, you do need luck. uh, I have found in my life I've never seemed to have that. So I've sort of made my peace with that, that I'm not a lucky person. And early on, when I was younger, I used to think that I used to get by on talent. I realize now that that wasn't talent. Even to develop that talent, it took a lot of work. So I've made that my thing now, that I just work hard and harder than people around me, so I have that edge. Um, and in the process, after moving to Calcutta, once I realized that the singer songwriter thing had a certain ceiling, then I had to change directions and I had to go back to Bollywood, but not as a side man. I started doing my own shows where I started singing and developed my singing, etc., etc. And by God's grace, I had certain people come along at the right time, who then were able to give me certain bits of relevant and pertinent knowledge at the right time, and I was able to make use of that. And so professionally, after a point of time, my thing took off. I had a career and it took off. I was doing well. Things were looking up on the personal front as well. I was dating after a point, and this is like 2 years after. This is like 2016. It took that much time. I was dating my then girlfriend. She's now my wife. I married her. She's great. Thank God she's there. This would be terrible without her. And you can insert all the cuss words you want in there. And then I just went into the cycle for many, many years of just trying to earn a living as best as I could and not really thinking about anything creative. I did wind up releasing an album, I think 3 years, 4 years ago, something. I think that was a pretty good album as well. But it's never been the same since 2014. It's not been the same. And then I saw this video of Rick Beato the other day, where Rick says that you can't be as creative as you once were before 30. After 30, you can't be that level of creative. You can have knowledge. You can have knowledge that you've gained over the years and experience, etc. But you can't have the pure raw creativity. Like, there's a problem, you solve it with your intuition, not with your knowledge. I don't have that anymore. I have a lot of knowledge. I've gained a lot of knowledge, but in terms of intuition and all, it's gone. I agree with him. I'd love to write songs based on my knowledge also. I'm not saying that I don't. I would really like to do that, but I'm just saying, as far as that sort of thing where you wake up in the middle of the night and you have lyrics and all ready, yeah, I don't think that's happening. So the last 10 years have been extremely fruitful from a learning and experience standpoint. The last 8 years, 7.5, 8 years have been fruitful for earning a living, and in a very abstract way, the dreams that I had of being a professional musician, like, I wish I could do this, I wish I could do that, they've all pretty much come true in the most abstract way, because everything was there. I've played on really big stages, really big sound, lights, big occasions, celebrities, prestigious people. I've done all of that, very prestigious people, and I've done all of that. It just hasn't been with the sort of music that I wanted to do it with. It's been with another format of music. So there's that little bit of, it rankles for that reason. But still, truthfully, whatever dreams I've had in the music, for music, etc., in terms of how I saw myself, they've actually all been fulfilled. And perhaps there's a challenge which has always been there, actually, that if you're actually good enough with the sort of music that you like, is to try and really improve yourself to the point where you can possibly get those sorts of opportunities playing the music that you like. It's a very rare thing, and it definitely, earning a living gets in the way of that. You have to do, you have responsibilities as a man. Even when I was a boyfriend, I really took care of my girlfriend, that way and my wife now, I mean. Even before we were married, I just took care of her the same way, the absolute best I could, like going out of my way. And so that meant that I was really focused, and I was very proud of that. Yeah, I was very proud of that. But then, yeah, I was very proud of that, still proud of that. It's just that I did neglect the creative aspect of it, and that is something that does rankle, but it's what it is. So I could go on really for much longer than this regarding this, because the disappointments run deep, the reality checks run deep. There are a lot of successes, but for someone who I could have had these successes, like I'm talking about financial success, etc., just by doing a job or whatever. Because I'm from a very good college, etc., I could have just done that. I did this for other reasons, and somewhere down the line, I think I've managed to muddle the entire thing up. So in that regard, it looks like a failure. Maybe there's time yet to redeem that, but as of right now, from purely creative standpoint, from the uh, guidelines perhaps that I had thought for myself, this has not worked out exactly. I've not been nearly as creative as I would have liked to. I've not nearly even gone close to it. So that disappointment rankles. But what do you do? You got to earn a living. You got to do what you do. You know, maybe I'll have better luck finding balance for this in the upcoming years. Regardless, and at the end, YouTube has been. I've been very active on YouTube this last month, and YouTube has been very kind in sending my videos out to more people. So I'm very grateful to everyone who's watched. I'm sure nobody's, by the way, what is this? This is like a 30-minute long video. I'm sure nobody's here at this point, but whatever. If you are, thank you so much. You've stuck by this video, possibly then means you possibly stuck with me through all this, my entire 14-year journey as a professional musician. Thank you so much. Maybe someday I can actually give you back something worthwhile for your faith in me. I'll keep my fingers crossed, and hopefully you can keep your positive energy towards me, and I can do that for you guys. And for myself, Jesus, even more for myself than for you guys, I'll be totally honest. Yeah, rambling long rant video. Sorry. I'll be back to the playing soon. Till next time, guys. Take care.